Section 2.1. This is the beginning of chapter 2. We have new terms to introduce for you guys to learn about. And what are these terms? Are those 5 terms. The variable that you're going to hear it all the time we say it is basically we define it in statistics as the characteristics that varies from one person to another. That's what a variable is. We will introduce different stuff later on, but today we focus on this list first. We have qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative from like quantity, so quantitative. This is quantitative. This deals with numbers. And qualitative deals with non-numerical, non-numbers. Something has nothing to do with numbers. So quantitative variable is a numerical valued variable. So something that is valid. And out of these, from the quantitative variables, the quantitative could be discrete or continuous. And so what is discrete? Discrete, like you can think about it as you can put it on the graph as dots, like specific amount or number of possible values we can have. Those variables, kind of values, we call them discrete. If it goes forever and it's kind of like non-countable, let's say, you can't count it, then that's called continuous variable. Also, we introduce what a data is. Some people say data or data. So a data is a values of variables, is a set of variables or set of values of variables. That's data. Now, quantitative data is the value of the quantitative variable, and the qualitative the same way. It follows the same thing with discrete and continuous. If we need to look at some examples here, can we classify if it's quantitative or qualitative? Let's look at what about gender. Is this quantitative or qualitative? So the gender is a qualitative variable. This qualitative variable because it allows the researcher here to categorize if a person or individual is a male or female. So that's why the gender is qualitative. What about temperature? Of course, temperature is quantitative variable because it's a numerical value. You can perform operations on temperatures like addition, subtraction. You can add temperatures, subtract. So this is quantitative. Another one, zip code. What about the zip code? Zip code, of course, it's a number, right? It's a number. But the idea behind the zip code is to really categorize a location. So although it's a number, it's just meant to find a location for an address. So zip code is qualitative variable. So another thing to look at it here to convince you more, this is not quantitative about the zip code, is that when you have 2 zip codes, if you add them up, it doesn't mean anything. It's not a meaningful result. It doesn't give us anything. But temperature wise, if I add 22 degrees plus 11 degrees, yeah, that would be 33 degrees. That's another temperature. But zip codes doesn't mean anything or provide us with any meaningful information. What about, this is about quantitative and qualitative. What about discrete and continuous? As an example, let's say the number of heads that we obtain when we flip a coin, let's say 4 times. So when you flip a coin 4 times and you count the number of heads, Is this discrete or continuous? Well, you can count how many. So you flip it the first time, second time, third time, you can count. So this is discrete. Discrete variable. Why is that? Well, because we can count the number of heads obtained with the 4 flips, or the four flips. Another one, what about the number of cars? The number of cars that arrive at a place between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. Is this discrete or continuous? Well, you ask yourself, they're talking about the number of cars. Can we count them? Yes, we can. They are countable cars, so that's why it's discrete. Another example, what about the distance of a, let's be specific, 2018 Toyota can travel in city driving conditions with a full tank of gas. Is this discrete or continuous? Well, what they're talking about here, before they talked about the number of cars, here they talk about the distance. So the distance, distance traveled, the distance traveled is continuous. Is continuous variable because we measure the distance in many different ways. Here they're not talking about which measure unit was used. So since the distance can be measured using many different methods, units. It could be in miles, it could be in feet, it could be in inches, etc. So that's why the distance is a continuous here in this case, and that's why it's a continuous variable. So again, very quick, here we have either is going to be the variable, we introduce the variable, and then we have either a quantitative or qualitative variable, and then we introduce the data, and from the data it could be quantitative or qualitative data, and then out of all of this we have discrete and continuous. Quantitative, quantity means to deal with numbers, addition, where addition and subtraction or operation can be performed and get a meaningful result. Qualitative has nothing to do with numerical numbers or anything related to operations. Discrete is the one that you can list it out. You can list them out. So if you are given a graph like this is discrete. If you are given a straight line, that's continuous. And then, depending on the example, different examples, you look at it in a different way, but that's all you need to know about continuous and discrete for this section.